Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Monday's episode of Trending, brought to you by Iconic Coffee. Head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code TRENDING for 10% off. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Good to be back, Gaz. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I've had a good weekend. The sun's been shining.
It's been beautiful, mate.
It really has. I've been told it's going to kill me, but for now I'm enjoying it.
Long may it continue, exactly.
Right, here we go. Straight in.
Happy bit's done.
Yeah. IDF blames, so Israeli Defense Forces, blames technical error after Gaza officials say children collecting water were killed in a strike. The Israel Defense Forces said it had intended to hit an Islamic Jihad militant, but a technical error had caused the missile to fall dozens of meters from the target. It's never their fault, is it?
Well, it didn't happen initially, did it?
Well, yeah. So let's hear from the spokesman of the IDF now.
Wasn't me.
That's basically it. Because this is not the first time, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of people, maybe some watching this, but a lot of people that kind of dig at us for calling this out, that kind of got involved in Israel-Palestine in terms of having a bit of interest in it on October the 7th, 2023. But if you go a little bit further back than that, this is something that the Israeli Defense Forces have been doing for decades and decades. What they'll do, whether it be a journalist, so you shoot a journalist like they did with the Al Jazeera journalist, shot her in the head, denied it, call everyone an anti-Semite, an anti-Israel and a Jew hater for saying that they did do it. Then when the footage comes out showing they did it, they go, well, yeah, we did do it. Sorry, yeah, we did do it, but it was accident, and we'll carry out an internal investigation. So we're going to mark our own homework, basically, which never goes anywhere, and nothing ever happens to the soldier that shot them, ever. You look at the young Baker boys that were playing football on the beach in Gaza. They got blown up in front of a load of UN aid workers that they were just kicking a football around with. And then they drop a bomb on the beach, kill these 4 children. If anyone remembers it, it was horrendous. These kids were literally blown to pieces. At first they deny it, and then they go, oh, yeah, it was us. Sorry, yeah, it was a technical error. Oh, don't worry about it then.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? See if that helps. I mean, a technical error is a trigger-happy nutcase, but technical error sounds better. For me, I look at it and I go, none of this is ending anytime soon. Despite Trump's rhetoric, when he came in, he's going to end the war and there's going to be a ceasefire. Well, it's supposed to be a ceasefire now. Yeah, a technical error has just led to a bunch of kids being killed. So not really a ceasefire, is it? And then I look at this happening. I look at how bad it's getting. I look at the situation with Iran and the fact that there's more rhetoric now towards, pushing back into the war again, which is what they want. That's why Netanyahu's over in America, as he always is, to persuade the people that he. I was going to say people that he works for, but it's not that way around, is it, ladies and gentlemen? To go and back them in a war against Iran. So I think, right, okay, so what's going to happen then, Jay, is things are about to get a lot worse.
Yep.
So situations like these kids being killed trying to get water, starving kids trying to get water and food, is going to get a lot of people, anyone really with any empathy and heart, angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go, right, well, we need to shut that up. So just this week, you've got a report come out in the United Kingdom saying that anti-Semitism is at an all-time high. More than 50% of British people have anti-Semitic views. And you go, okay, but what does that really mean? Yeah, okay, you can have a few people out there that hate Jewish people for being Jewish. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. You can have the same people out there that hate Muslims for being Muslim, that hate gay people for being gay, hate black people for being black, whatever. But they are a major, major minority, those kind of people. When it comes to anti-Semitism, mainly it's just people that criticize Israel.
Yep.
That's what anti-Semitism means. It means it wasn't me.
Well, it's their definition of anti-Semitism.
Yeah, it's their own definition of it, exactly. So you can't say anything against Israel or you're an anti-Semite. So when they say 50% of Britons have anti-Semitic views, do they? Or is it just 50% of Britons actually don't like genocide and don't like kids being blown up queuing for water because of technical errors? Because if that's the case, then I'm an anti-Semite then. And I'm not...
Proudly.
Yeah, I'm not bothered about being called one. I used to care about being called it. I couldn't care less now because the word's lost all meaning. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, right. Then I think about Grok last week that started going off on one, didn't it, about certain things. I'm like, okay. I can see a pattern here. Then you've got Bob Vylan on stage at Glastonbury shouting death to the IDF. Then that suddenly is everywhere and everyone's all offended by it. Not offended by the IDF murdering kids. That's not offensive at all. I'm offended by a guy on stage talking about it. And then yesterday, this is a weird sentence I never thought I'd say, Elmo went all mad and anti-Semitic on Twitter and started ranting about Jews and extermination and stuff like that. He got the account hacked, so we're told. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is gearing towards yet more censorship and legislation against anti-Semitism. And as we've said, most anti-Semitism is actually just criticism of Israel.
Yep.
Call me a conspiracy theorist, Jay, but I can't help but think these things are connected.
They absolutely are. We spoke about this years ago. Remember when the whole anti-Semitism industry kind of began, really, during Corbyn's leadership?
Oh, it went on steroids.
And we were saying then, this isn't about what Israel are doing now, it's about what they're going to do. And it's about silencing any discontent, silencing any pushback before they do that. Yeah. Because if you've got to put a lid on something when it's already out there, it's much more difficult, especially now with social media and stuff. You know, things like the videos of kids getting targeted, they'd have probably got away with that a decade ago. Whereas now, because everyone's got camera phones, everyone's got quick access to social media, things like that, they're very easy to go, well, that's not true. That happened. So these sort of things, like you say, they've happened for years. And I'm sure that story involving the kids on the beach that many people remember, there's probably a dime a dozen like that we haven't heard about
100%.
In similar situations there and in the West Bank, where Hamas don't apparently exist, yet they still target people in the West Bank. Please explain that.
Because they want all the land. That's all it is.
Exactly what it's all about.
It's exactly what it's all about. I think the thing is as well, Jay, is I think they've gone so far this time. Like if I think about Protective Edge, I think about Cast Lead, and other military operations where Israel's killed 2,500 civilians, 500 kids or whatever. That got condemnation, not from politicians, obviously, because they still want their money, but from regular people it got condemnation. But you had your Israel firsters and your Christians, or pretend Christians, that put Israel first, that wouldn't say anything, that actually now...
Yep.
Because we are in the tens of thousands of children. I mean, the amount of times I've seen people go, I've always been pro-Israel. Look, I'm an Israel supporter. Look, or whatever. But it's gone too far now.
And that's just the numbers that you're hearing about.
Yeah, that's not
just
the people
that you're hearing about.
Buried underneath the rubble.
Buried under the rubble, exactly. I mean, you've seen how densely populated Gaza is, and you've seen how decimated the buildings are. No way a few, 100,000 people is the number. It's significantly higher than that, and you may well never know the full number of that because of the state that it's been left in. Yeah. And you can't justify this in any way. You can be the most pro-Israeli psychopath, but you have to admit at this point that you are a psychopath. You can't justify it in any rational means, what's happening. It's just absolutely disgusting.
But they try to, in the same way that people justify Trump's stance on the Epstein client list.
They do, because they don't want to admit it. Is it funny that all these so-called alternative, independent politicians, whether it's Trump, whether it's Farage, whether it's, what's the woman in France called?
Le Pen,
all of those, they're all very pro-Israel, aren't they? It's very strange, given Israel is what many people would acknowledge one of the great epicenters for this global cult. All your supposed saviours, put them at the top of the list. Might make you reevaluate whether they're actually your saviours.
Yeah, and also they look the other way when Netanyahu and co were using Israelis as lab rats for Pfizer. They were Netanyahu's exact words.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that's fine.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, good guy.
Great guy.
Just goes to show also, for Jewish people watching around the world, if there is any watching around the world, you're being chucked under the bus as much as anyone, guys. You literally were made Pfizer's lab. So this ain't about protecting you at all.
No, they use it as a shield. They use the Jewish faith as a shield.
And look back.
Absolutely.
Look back for history. This cult have chucked Jewish people under the bus every time they have an opportunity to do so. Russian Revolution, Second World War, and again now. Because what will happen, as we've talked about, is the anger and dismay at what Israel and the Israeli regime are doing will probably then spill out onto Jewish people in general. It will. In the same way that people that believe the Muslims behind certain terror attacks, that spills out into anger and hatred towards all Muslims when it's not them. The same thing will happen. So once again, it's you're not being protected, guys. Most regular citizens in Israel are being chucked under the bus as much as anyone.
Exactly. And also, just final points, we move on to the next story. When people say it's anti-Semitic. This is one of the new definitions of anti-Semitism, is to connect all Jewish people with the actions of the state of Israel, right? Now, I agree with that. I don't, anti-Semitic is a misnomer in terms of what anti-Semitic actually means in terms of it's a number of languages, most of which are Arabic, but whatever. Palestinians are Semites, ladies and gentlemen. But when they connect I understand they're saying like you shouldn't connect the two. I agree completely. So if Israel does something, that's why whenever I say the state of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Defense Forces, because that's who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about some guy down the road from me who's a Jewish guy. He's got nothing to do with it, right? But when they say that you shouldn't connect the two, they do it all the freaking time.
Yeah, they do. That's their
so
defense.
when Bob Villan says death to the IDF, now whether you agree with him saying that or not is another thing. But personally, I don't wish death on anyone. I also don't wish death on the IDF because I actually think if you're someone that's murdering children, I don't wish death on you. I think that's too easy. I want you to have to live with that for the rest of your life. I want it to haunt you, actually. I think death is an easy option. But anyway, when he says that, he's saying death to the Israeli Defense Forces. Then the whole establishment says he's calling for the death of Jewish people, which is not what he did. So also you're connecting the IDF with all Jewish people then. Well, that's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, it makes no sense. Just a final quick point. Am I right in thinking as well that Hebrew is not a Semitic language? Yiddish is, but Hebrew is not. And given most modern day Israelis would speak Hebrew, not Yiddish, it actually makes no sense whatsoever.
I'm not actually sure. I thought.
Comment and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've definitely heard that.
I don't
before.
know why I thought Hebrew was on the list of Semitic languages.
Maybe it is then, but I've definitely heard that before. It's not come from nowhere, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. That's what social media does.
It might be a technical error in your brain.
It might be a technical error in my brain, exactly. Right, so Mr. I'm going to end the war in 24 hours. What are we now at? Good few months, and this war's still going. And this is the headline. Trump says US will send sophisticated equipment to Ukraine as he criticises Putin. Now, this is an evolving story. This is from the live BBC page, which is updated every few minutes with what's going on. Now, basically, he announced last week, didn't it? You covered it, I believe, in one of the days that they were going to send the Patriot air defence systems over to Ukraine because the Russian attacks in the last few days seem to have intensified, seem to have been as big as they have been through the conflict, and they seem to be targeting places like Kiev now and so on. Kyiv, yeah. Trump claims that he's had some conversations with Putin, and on the phone he's very nice and he's very articulate and talks about peace, and then goes and does what they're doing in terms of the intensified attacks. Now, as we've said many a time, when you know the outcome, something will always get in the way in the middle to stop that outcome from not happening. So you can apply that logic to what's happening in Iran at the moment. We know they want conflict, so therefore this peace at the moment is going to be finite, it's going to be very, very limited, and something will happen for them to try and justify not having it and not continuing it. We've seen it time and time and time again. They want Russia, occupied, I think, in the sense of occupied their attention in Ukraine, because otherwise, if they're not, there's a lot more chance and opportunity they would come in and support Iran should that kick off there. Whereas if they've got their own stuff going on, you generally would sort your own house before you go and help somebody else. So there's that. And I guess you could possibly apply that argument to Syria because they didn't do anything.
Exactly what they did.
When they maybe would have done something to protect the Assad regime had they not had their own conflict up in Ukraine to worry about themselves. Whereas two fronts, probably something they weren't going to do. So there's that. And also, we know that there is a third world war planned. So therefore, keeping Russia and Ukraine in lock, keeping Iran and Israel locked, keeping the constant fear of China and Taiwan locked, it's keeping all those countries in a position where you are one catalyzing event away from something quite significant. And by having US involved at a serious level now, not just sort of involved as part of a NATO pack, you're making that even more possible. So we saw, Britain and Germany and Poland and Italy and France have been sending weapons up to Ukraine for a long time, and so have the US, but not to this level, and they've had lots of preconditions on them. Whereas if you remember, Britain sent a load of missiles not that long ago with no preconditions. So all of a sudden, if those missiles are used to kill Russian citizens inside of Russian territory, that then pulls the UK into the conflict. This now adds the US to that list. And if these sophisticated weapons, as they're described, are used to kill Russian servicemen on Russian land, attack Russian resources, and so on, then all of a sudden, really, you're at war with Russia. The US and NATO are at war with Russia. They're at a silent war with them now, really.
Well, I'd say as soon as they bombed Nord Stream, they were at war with them.
100%. And that is now something that just, again, ticks that. The US going and bombing those sites in Iran, that gets the US involved in that conflict as well. If China invade Taiwan, you've got South Korea, you've got Japan, allies of the US, they've got lots of US troops in that region, that will get them involved in that. And all of a sudden you have your global conflict. So for me, there's various aspects to this. There'll be people waking up looking at this nervous, understandably so, thinking, God, another conflict. I thought we just sorted one. And it's that constant fear being kept alive of people, of what's going to happen next, this instability around the world where people are constantly scared of what they're going to wake up to. There's that. And also there's this longer term agenda to bring about this third world war and move power from west to east. And that's why I think we're seeing this. So there's so much here. I think I'd love to be a fly on the wall on a conversation between Putin and Trump. I can imagine the way that the communication could not be more different.
I imagine it would be like Putin having a conversation with a toddler.
Oh yeah, I can totally agree.
If I'm honest,
I can totally agree.
I mean, just looking at the World Club Championship, I know it's football, whatever. Trump presents Chelsea with the trophy, and I saw people on social media going, "How amazing is this? Look, he was supposed to leave the stage after he presented the trophy to Chelsea after they won the World Club Cup, but he stayed on the stage. Of course he is, because he's a narcissist. He wants it to be about him.
And it is. They're all talking about him.
Yeah, they're talking about him, not Chelsea. What did you do again, Donald Trump? Did you score any of the goals? No, of course you didn't, mate. Honestly. In terms of Ukraine, though, I could just basically echo everything you've said. We spoke about it last week, myself and Rich. I think it is about keeping Russia occupied, which was exactly why the overthrowing of the Assad regime in Syria happened when it did, when Russia was facing off against Ukraine, and not before that. What makes me laugh, though, is because you mentioned Starmer. Starmer's obviously given whatever. I mean, Avmir Top is how he is when it comes to Zelensky. Zelensky comes with his begging bowl. And
be the bottom half he'd be given.
Oh, mate. Well, that's the thing, innit? Why are 4, it was supposed to be 3, I think it's 4 now, Ukrainian male model types?
You know what you want to say.
Why are they torching Starmer's property? 1, why do they know where Starmer's property is? And 2, why are they torching his property when he's giving Ukraine everything it wants? And more importantly than that, why is no one talking about it?
Because they're not meant to.
Why is no one talking about it in the mainstream media?
Because they're not meant to.
I keep mentioning it, and I don't want to be a broken record, Jay, but you've got a prime minister of a country who's got 4 young lads that are either male models or escorts, right? And they're torching his stuff.
Including a car that isn't even his anymore, but they knew it was at one point.
I mean,
that's inside knowledge.
Why is no one asking any questions? Honestly, it does my head in.
It reminds me of, we've spoken about this before. Do you remember when all the silly things Boris said over the years before he was Prime Minister? We made the point, if someone else they didn't like had said them, they'd have destroyed them. You letterbox comment and things like that. This reminds me of that. If this was someone else, it would be front page news for days and days and days. It would be absolutely massive. And what's funny, even your supposedly, right wing, your GB News lot, they're not even talking about it.
No, they're not. Of course, they're not. Bloody establishment. I can't believe it's not establishment. Basically, That's all GB News is. It is mad though. But then I think about it. I go, well, actually, what that is in terms of the establishment is that's just on the back burner, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
As soon as Starmer becomes a less useful idiot, then suddenly we'll get to hear what that was all about. Keeping with the same sort of vibe, then it's all about peace in today's episode of Trending, ladies and gentlemen. Australia rebuffs calls to commit to joining hypothetical US-China conflict. I love that everyone's voted for the peaceful president, and now we're at a point where you're sending weapons to Ukraine, you're bombing Iran, and you're having a hypothetical conversation about hypothetical conflict with China. Australia will refuse any US request to join a hypothetical, it's not hypothetical, they know what's coming, conflict with China over Taiwan and won't make any advance commitment, the Defence Industry Minister Pat Conroy has said. Amid reports, Washington is seeking such promises in discussions over the AUKUS submarine. So I'm guessing that they've got some military deal going on and they're saying you can have them basically if you are on our side when we hypothetically, inevitably, go to war with China. The Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, I don't like him, but he's got a cool name. Anthony Albanese also pushed back on such a request, alluding to America's own position of so-called strategic ambiguity on whether the US would militarily respond to a conflict over Taiwan. He said that Australia wants peace and security, usual yada, yada, yada. You can see, as you were mentioning earlier, the Third World War of your Iran, Russia, China against the West. The chess pieces are just being moved about. It's been going on for a while. China's the one, in terms of what's going on in the South China Sea and what's going on in the Philippines as well. That's stuff that no one's talking about. Nope. I mean, we've had Warren Thornton on quite a few times. Probably about 6 months ago, he was talking about how this was going to play out and where it was going, and no one was really mentioning it, and yet here we are. Because they want this war.
Well, 2026, they've spoken about, haven't they? They've said they will do it in 2026.
They want it. They want a third world war. They want to create utter chaos, utter fear, food shortages and all that kind of stuff. Bearing in mind all these countries, because by the way, the West is not meant to win.
Yep, absolutely.
Spoiler alert. That's why all these Western nations, while China's been strengthening, while Russia's been strengthening, even after all the sanctions against them,
they're thriving.
They're thriving. And you've got Britain committing economic suicide, America doing the same with its ridiculous tariff wars and nonsense like that.
Yep.
And you can just see how it's playing out. If you're going to go into a third world war, you're going to want quite a lot of land to dig for victory, as it was in World War II. Well, dig what? Solar farms?
Absolutely.
It's absolutely ridiculous, mate. And Trump was the perfect person to bring it in.
Yeah, because he's
in America, because
coming out from the opposite angle.
He's coming out, exactly. Because you, the American people, and I guess everyone would align with you around the world, unless you're a nutcase, is going, well, we want peace. So you're not going to have Trump stand up there and go, I'm going to go and bomb China. People aren't going to vote for that. So you get him to go, I'll end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. I'll get a peace deal in Gaza. I'll get a peace deal with Iran and sort all that stuff out where Obama was just sending money. I'll sort it. Don't you worry about it. In China, I'll sort it. Everything will be fine. So everyone votes for him, and then they go, that's not what I voted for.
No.
You voted for a liar. That's exactly what you voted for.
You voted for a politician, same words.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's an interesting two things to unpack here. Well, a few things to unpack to Australia. So China, as a state, is the biggest owner of the water supply in Australia. Biggest foreign owner of water supply in Australia. So the influence they have now, last time I was in Australia was in 2016 for any length of time. I was there for 5 weeks, right? And I remember then there was lots of talk about the influence China had over Australia and it being very much something people were uncomfortable with there. Now that's only exploded since. There's 1.9 million, 6% of the population, Chinese in Australia. So if they got involved in that conflict, now we've spoken a few times, haven't we, about if you look at the first two major conflicts in the world, immigration wasn't really a thing. So generally, Britain was at war with Germany. Britain was full of people from Britain. Whereas now in every country across the world, there's immigration. So therefore, if you go to war with another nation, it's almost inevitable. People from that nation are going to be in the same country that you are in.
Apart from Israel.
Apart from Israel, yeah. So for example, if Britain went to war, just to make it a simple terms, if Australia went to war with China, what are those nearly 2 million Chinese going to do in Australia? What dynamic on the streets of Melbourne is that going to create?
Yeah.
It's going to be a really, really interesting situation. And I mentioned Melbourne because I've just, spent 2 weeks in Melbourne, and it is like being in Beijing. It really is. It's very, very strange dynamic, really, to be honest. So as a result, there's going to be everyday Australians looking around going, well, what's that going to be like here? Because that's going to be very strange. And you can apply that logic to any country in the world that goes to conflict with any other country. There's going to be people. But in that case, there's a large group of people, a large number of people in that area. So that's a really interesting one, I think.
The fact that Australia has sold a large percentage of their water supply to a foreign nation is clinically insane.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely insane. Lots do it though. Lots do it.
I could say now with absolute confidence that Australia is siding with China in terms of a conflict, because if they don't, the taps are going off.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a very interesting situation.
It's a hell of a bargaining chip, isn't it?
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty.
We're gonna join America.
No, you're not.
Sultan.
Well, speaking of chips, because that's the last thing to mention on that, is Taiwan is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, is the biggest manufacturer of semiconductor chips in the world, which go into pretty much every electronic device these days, computers, mobile phones, etc. So if there was a conflict and that stopped, the technology industries across the world, of which so much, if not everything that you are thinking about, including what you're watching us on right now, rely on, then that's going to be absolutely chaotic. And what is so important during conflict? Information. So if all of a sudden technology is not that easy to get hold of, or isn't functioning in the way that you're used to, getting hold of accurate information about what is going on is going to become more difficult. So it's so much easier, therefore, to manipulate, twist, spin the story.
Absolutely.
So I don't think those things are unconnected either. I think it's a very fascinating area to explore.
Well, that and the censorship in general, and anti-hate speech legislation, all these stuff. You can see that it's like all these different ways of basically controlling what you can and can't see and what you can and can't say.
Right, we're going to end on some fantastic news. This is the headline. Extreme weather in the UK is now the new normal, say Met Office. So according to this, we can expect very many more hot days and fewer extremely cold nights.
Sounds good to me.
What a fantastic story to wake up to, on a Monday morning. So the UK is breaking heat and rainfall records increasingly frequently as the climate continues to warm.
Oh, is it global warming again?
No, we're back to that now.
Oh, wow.
They can spin that.
The
cycle's changed, so they can stop saying climate change now. They can start saying global warming again.
Oh, okay.
The country's changing weather patterns mean the UK now experiences a notably different climate to what it did just a few decades ago. A state of the UK climate has reported. Now, it's just worth pointing out that the climate has always evolved. The climate has always increased and decreased, hence why there is pictures and videos of, sorry, not videos, but there's pictures of ice fairs on the River Thames in London. There's stories about ice ages. There's stories about warm periods where you had vineyards in the northeast of England in places up in Tyneside.
Providing wine to France and to Italy and
Exactly.
places like that. It was all coming out of Yorkshire.
I still have a conspiracy theory why Greenland is called Greenland when it's a rock of ice. I'm going to put it out there and say it was green and lush once. Anyway.
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was. So the point is, when they always talk about when records began, so the records began in 1884, which is, in terms of the history of the Earth, whether you're a scientist, whether you believe in religion, whatever, it doesn't really matter. That's an absolutely irrelevant period of time in terms of the grand scale of the length of time this Earth has been here.
To put into context, Jay, 1884 was when Derby County Football Club were founded.
Exactly.
So we're not actually going that far back, are we?
No, we're
Do you know what I
really
mean?
not.
That's the point.
We're really not. And it's clear that the climate has always changed and always evolved. And I guarantee if that was 1284, it would not be the hottest year since records have begun, because it would have fluctuated, it would have gone up, it would have gone down. It's also worth pointing out, this is a really key point, is when you start any kind of record for something, you have no basis of comparison for where you're starting. So your start point, you don't know whether that start point was during warm times, during cold times, because it's your start point. Until you've got a really extended length of time to put that start point into some kind of context. It's like, for example, if you went on a diet and started a new diet, but you didn't weigh yourself at the start, after 2 weeks when you weigh yourself, how do you know if you've lost weight, gained weight? You don't know, because you didn't weigh yourself at your first point. Only in the length of time can you look and go with any kind of knowledge, yeah, okay, that means it's warmer, that means it's cold. So in 100 years, 200 years time, which, as we said, is a very small period of time in terms of the Earth's history, you're not going to get accurate information. If they did this study again, as I said, in another 500 years, the studies would be completely different, because there would be an extended length of time to compare. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest, just final one, guys, sorry, mate, that we were coming out of what they call the Little Ice Age in that period. So therefore, temperatures would have been
lower,
colder, and therefore that would explain why supposedly records are getting hotter. There's also, it's not just about things getting warmer, it's about context. I remember as a kid, 25, 26 degrees in July was not an amber weather warning.
No, it was
It
normal.
wasn't something that was getting you scared. We grew up by the beach on the Isle of Wight. They were packed out during the summer holidays. You had sunny days. It was lovely. It was 25, 26. People pay thousands of pounds to go to Spain, to Portugal, to Greece, to go to 34, 35. So this concept that, the late 20s is going to kill you, it's not. If you're elderly and vulnerable or have health conditions and stuff where the heat can affect you, Okay, then be sensible. Of course, don't sit in the sun for 12 hours. That's not going to be great. But again, it's not just about the temperature. It's about the attitude towards the temperature as well. It's very important.
I mean, when I was a kid, mate, I pair of flip-flops and a pair of football shorts. That was my wardrobe for about 3 months of the year. Yeah, that's how it was. And anyone my age and older will remember that in the 80s, mate, it was amazing. It was great. And then we had quite a few years of really rubbish summers. And now we've had a couple of really decent ones, actually, last 3 or 4 years. But you're not allowed to enjoy anything.
No, you're not.
Everything's rubbish. And like you say, you used to look at the weather forecast and it would say 25, 26 and it'd be green or maybe it might be yellow. Now it's red at 19 degrees.
Terrified.
Because it's all about the messaging. And the other thing as well is these cycles are tend to be around about 600 years. So you've got sort of the medieval warm period of like the 1200s when basically people were a lot smaller than they are now. And now I'm thinking maybe it's because it was so hot they've shrunk. And then you go 600 years, that would take you to Victorian times, which was when people were ice skating on the Thames,
and that's around 1884.
When you start this coming out of the Little Ice Age, then you start judging temperatures at that point, and then you go, oh goodness me, it's hotter now than it was during a Little Ice Age.
Yeah, well, it will be.
Obviously,
it will be.
Obviously. Honestly, I've loved it, mate. I've been out in the sun, I've been out in the garden. Everyone's happier. The kids are having a good time down the park, get the paddling pool out.
100%.
Just walking past people in the street. How you doing? Yeah, good, mate. Weather's nice, isn't it? Oh, that's great, mate. Loving it.
Mate, I was in the park with my son Travis at 7:15 yesterday morning, shirtless playing cricket. It was epic. The only people out were the dog walkers getting out the dogs before, obviously, it got too hot. You went for a walk in the village. You had people in the garden. You had people playing music. You had people having a beer and a barbecue and just enjoying. The sun comes out. People, have more fun and more social encounters. It's no accident that, your countries in Southern Europe, your Italy's, your Greece, people just seem to be happier. In Sardinia, they live the longest they do anywhere in the world. So much of that has to be about, connecting with nature and things like that, and not to take it too philosophical, but if you go back not too long ago when we'd have been more in harmony with nature, we'd have lived in it. We wouldn't have worn shoes all day. We'd have been grounding on the thing. We'd have been eating outside. We'd have been eating more social with other people. All of those things come back when the sun comes out.
They do, yeah.
Because the only thing that really restricts you doing that in the winter is you're not going to sit and do that in -5 or when it's tipping down with rain. So those amazing situations, enjoy them, guys. Enjoy them.
The winters are so long in this country. Like people around the world that are watching this, you will know. You take the mickey out of the British weather. Oh, it's a great British summer. It's raining and it's horrible. And you're like, we finally got a couple of, and they're not even heat waves, not really. Like, I'm sorry, but 27, it's great. It's. Do you know what I mean?
You'd be disappointed if you were in that in Spain.
It's not molten lava. It's just the sunshine, and it's great, and everyone's happy. And I'm refusing for the doom goblins to take that away from me. Be honest.
Yeah, me too. It's amusing to see some red faces in the supermarket as well.
But that's another thing. I can't remember the last time I was sunburnt. When I was a kid,
No,
I always looked like Rodney from Only Fools and Horses when he'd been left under the under the sun.
Under the solar. What's Britain like in a heat wave? Red people and dodgy tattoos. That's all you need to know.
Oh yeah, Especially around here, you find there's a lot of Nottingham Forest tattoos on burnt skin. Absolutely. But yeah, that's us then today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've enjoyed that actually. It's sort of like, I can start the week now. I've been chatting.
Excellent. You're back at 2:00, aren't you, mate?
Apparently so. So if you head over to shop.iconic.com and use code TRENDING, you get 10% off as well. And you can buy mugs and all sorts there as well.
You can.
It's a treasure trove, ladies and gentlemen.
You can. It's very cool. Right. Thanks a lot, guys. Speak to you later on. Take care.
See ya.